talking to them right now. I look all festive.
You're on live, Keith. Boom.
All right, there you go. She's gonna send that to you, and you can post it up there, and people can look at me at least and see what I'm looking at.
That sounds good. Okay, we're on.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Music Business Game Plan. I am your host, co-host, Troy Brown. And with me, as always, is my business partner in Big Timber Entertainment, Mark Oliverius. Mark,
Troy, how are you, brother?
we are having too much fun before we even came on, aren't we?
We are. We're having too much fun. We've got our special guest. Looks awfully dark at this point. You can't really, well, it's because his camera's not working on his end, but he's going to get that figured out for our next one. He's my good friend, and we go, my brother in arms. We go back a lot of years. He's written a bunch of hits, and was with me with Joe Diffie. We had a great band with Joe. You had to hear him play the bass, not just the acoustic or the electric guitar. Yeah, he's a great bass player, and he'll tell you that. No, he's my brother, Keith Burns. How are you, Keith?
Hey guys, how you doing, Troy? Mark, how you doing, Ollie? How y'all doing?
Good. Sorry, folks. We'll get this technical glitch next time because Keith's too handsome to have him buried here in this with this dark screen, Troy.
Yeah, he is, and y'all, Keith is remote here, and we were actually having way too much fun before we came on, and it's always a pleasure to have Keith and see Keith, and even though we don't see him, to hear Keith's voice. And Keith, how are things going tonight? Beside the technical difficulties that we had.
Oh, well, there's always going to be technical difficulties, guys, and and the good news is we can do this again, and we will, because I have a feeling I'm gonna be coming up there next week probably. My dear friend Mark Oliver, who's your co-host there. We have some very, very sad news. A buddy of ours who is a giant in the country music industry, just beyond words of a sweetheart of a guy. 30-year plus working with this guy from all the way from when Mark and I were with Joe Diffie, giant in the boot industry, and it doesn't look like he's only got in any minute now. Our buddy Greg Hensley he's gonna go up and be the blessed thing about it, my friend, to start this show off on a positive thing is he's going up to be with the arms of the Lord, and he was a firm believer in it. And so anyway, just dedicate this show and dedicate this coming up 2025 year in his honor, because of the work and friendship that both Mark and I had with him over 30 plus years in the business of country music. And people don't understand that it's not just about music. I mean, you got the clothing industry, you got the boot line, you got Boot Barn, you got the hat industry, Resist, Stets. I mean, there's a lot of people and a lot of different things that come into play when it comes to country music, right? It ain't just about the relationships aren't just made for just the musicians. We have built some big relationships and long-lasting, meaningful, deep relationships throughout these years, right, Mark?
Absolutely, Keith. And
Greg
Hensley, brother, that well put. Greg Hensley was one of the most selfless guys out there around. I mean, he helped everybody. He helped everybody, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's not. It won't be long. But this show is dedicated to Greg for sure.
show, and like I said, next year, my whole tour next year with Trick Pony and Friends is coming out next year. I'm working with some guys. I'm working with John Marks, and we're going to get some music out there, and we're going to get some shows out there. And the whole year is going to be dedicated to Greg. He really was one of those guys that he's every bit as important. Like my point, and I won't drag it off on too long, but my point is this, guys. As much as Brent Mason, or as much as Lonnie Wilson, or as much as uh, you know Dennis Banka, who's a radio guy out of Carthage, Tennessee, Jerry Phillips out of Alabama, who owns a radio station, son of Sam Phillips. As much as they are part of country music, people like Greg Hensley are just as big. They're just as big a part of country music, and they're just as big a part of the relationships that you build throughout your career. I was just out with the Bellamy brothers out in Las Vegas and talking about Greg, and both of those guys, Howard and David, both knew Greg and know Greg, and just respected him. So just if I can say anything about anything in this business, just make sure on your way up and on your way through this business, respect everybody, because they all play a part.
Keith, that's a great message, and yourself and Mark, I really am truly sorry about your friend, and there's that is the toughest thing in life, isn't it? Is people get sick and pass on, and but I do truly believe that there is a better place, and we're living here as we exist, and yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough going through it as we're here. So
No, you're
really, from the bottom of
right.
my heart, I'm sorry.
But you're spot on. You can't. Here's the thing: if you have faith, like we all do, then guess what? You know the ending of the story. We know how the story ends. We know what the Bible. If you believe in that, and you believe in your fellow man and mankind, we know how the story ends. So I don't know why everybody sweats it. We know where we're going,
Right.
and I know I'll see him again, just like our animals, man. Mark. We're all lovers, boy. We're all dog and puppy lovers and kitty lovers, and man, we know we'll see them again one day. And that's kind of where, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, any questions, or am I supposed to talk about business?
Keith, this show is kind of open. We talk about business. I try to ask questions, that get us somewhere, but it's always such a dynamic conversation with you. We can go anywhere you want. But anyway, hey, Mia just posted.
Mia.
Hey, Mia.
Hey, speaking of damn post boots, how's Mia?
Mia's doing great, and she just sent a message. I tell you, she's working her butt off here, Keith. But she just sent a message. Thank you again to Greg for gifting me those amazing damn post boots. He's such a kind and generous man. So,
she's so, and what a truly good time we had shooting that video with her at my buddy Betty Lou. Was that not amazing, Mark?
Yeah, it sure was. It was a blast.
We got to give a shout out to my buddy Tom and boy, his club Betty Lou's, and down there, and we shot an amazing video, and it was just a pleasure to work with her. She was such a charm and hard worker, man. She was like, and videos can be long and they can be draining, so.
Yeah,
But
I know.
Glad she at least, I'm glad she at least got the experience, to meet with Greg and have, he gifted her those boots, and I'm sure now they'll mean the world to her.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And she just posted a message here. Hi, Keith, miss you. So
I miss you more, Mia. Hey, Mia, miss you. Hey, you know what, Mia? You and I need to write a song. I just came up with it. You ready? Miss you, mean it.
Miss you, mean it.
Mean it by Mia. Boy, I mean,
that's great. That's it. That's
Oh man,
it, bro.
you know we're all gonna have to get together, all together in a room in Betty Lou's, whatever we have to do again, Keith. That that was an amazing day. Really appreciated being a part of that, and
Oh man, it's insane.
I'd probably still be there if the place went to closed.
Well, you know how it is. Hey, where are you at right now?
I'm in Wisconsin, and
Oh, you're up there. You're up there at the Wisconsin pad.
Yep, I'm at the Wisconsin pad. We have our Christmas snow. Got about 5 inches of snow. I'll be up at about 4:30 in the morning, getting rid of it. So that's just
Man.
the way it goes up in this country. I was in Nashville about when was that, Mark? About a year ago, and I brought it with me. We had about 6 inches of snow, and we had to get
Wow.
from Hendersonville to the Opryland. And we picked that nice fella up who ran
Rick.
that place.
Yeah.
Rick,
Rick
yeah.
Morrell. Yeah.
Rick Morrell. We picked him up in my truck, and he didn't want to go, Keith. But I said, "Hey," Mark said, Troy's got a truck. Let's do it. Well, by the time we got him home, he didn't want to get out. He was having so much fun driving around in that truck in the snow, and Mia says, "Oh, love it. Let's do it." So we're
Done.
on here, Keith. So,
We'll
hey,
make.
Keith.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about you were with you said you were out on the road with the Bellamy brothers. Brother, you are one of the hardest working people in this music industry. And I've watched from afar as we've gotten to know each other here a little bit. And you've been able to sustain that. And next time you come on the show, we'll do the whole background. But I'm how is it that you have been able to sustain this, and I'm not going to date you, but this long in the music industry? What do you attribute that to, Keith?
I would say the love of it. Number one, you gotta love and have passion for what you do. I was told early on by my father and my grandfather, both, you can, here's what you can do.
Yeah.
You can take over this business that's ours, and they had an electrical company, and you can take over it and you can run it, because we're going to bow out at about 50 something years old, and you can take over it and you can retire at 50 something years old and hand it off, and hate it, or you can play music, do this music thing you think you're good, and love what you do. And so I chose that avenue, and I've never regretted it for 1 minute. I never will. And neither has Mark. I know that for a fact. It is tough sometimes. Bonnie today, it was really funny that you brought this up, Troy. Bonnie today we were coming back from getting to go Mexican food, and we were coming back home, and I just said, "Look at this! How blessed are we? Look at this
Yeah.
beautiful sky, and here I am doing this and that." And she goes, "Are you nuts? This business is crazy." So, different people look at it. To me, I am so blessed, and this is so easy to me. I mean, I just love it. But being on the road, I will say sometimes, the 14-hour drives,
Yeah.
to get some.
26-hour drive.
Bonnie says 26 hours, and that's true too, every once in a while.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Yeah.
I have a saying, Troy, that I've always said this: you don't pay me to play music, you pay me to leave my driveway, and that's what you pay me for. Because and Mark will tell you this, Ollie will be the first to tell you how expensive it is to leave town in a tour bus in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to leave Nashville and go to Indianapolis, Indiana, is it's $3,500 just to take the bus out of town.
Right.
So people, a lot of times people go, well, why can't you come here, or why can't you do this show for this? Well, shoot, man, if it costs a lot of money to do that. And not to get too political, I'm sure I might get a little bit here before we're all said and done, but over the last 4 years, it's even been harder to sustain a living on the road doing so. What I've had to do, guys, is I've had to scale down. I've had to scale down instead of a full band show, and a full tour bus to my little 28-foot Dixie Lee that we take me and a couple of players and go out and do more of a power acoustic type show, a more scaled down show, so we can actually go take our show to the people and still make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Keith. I mean, so just a brief. I came on to when I auditioned for Diffie, God, years ago, 90 something, early 90s,
Let's not
and
Mark.
we won't date us. We won't date it. Maybe early 210s. No, no. Keith was in there, and I went in there, and from the minute we met, it was off to the races. We played basketball every day on the road, and I mean it was Keith always lit up the place and lit the bus up, and it was always, one of the, you get off the bus, your face hurts from laughing so much and from smiling, and just, it was a true brotherhood, and we had a great band, and and Keith's drive was a big inspiration to me. He was, the fortitude that he had, and being able to, we wrote this song for Diffie. It became a hit, and it allowed him to leave and start Trick Pony and start that band. And he worked through the first iteration of it with a different singer. He had Ira in place, different singer, and we'd cut tracks and shop them. And then, another Chuck Howard got involved from Curb and all this. And then, but I mean, single-handedly, Keith's force of will, he forced it to happen. He made it happen by his sheer, he didn't give up. He never took, it didn't matter if there were doors shut, he went around it, under it, over it. It didn't matter. And it was just it's a great testament to, and he's been a great inspiration for me,
So I have a question for both of you all in Kaiden leading our.
Troy, let me just say that's high praise indeed coming from Mark, because Mark's a legend in his own right. He's played for, I mean, he's played for everybody, anybody. Produced Lori Morgan, played just a Diffie. I mean, so for him, so for Mark to say something like that, that's high praise indeed for me. And I love the guy. He's like a brother. I'd do anything for him. Mark, I really, especially here during the holiday season and with our dear friend on the cusp of meeting his maker. I just want to tell you, I love you, man. And thank you for everything. And it's right back at you, brother. I mean that. I mean that. So Troy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what, Keith, that's so cool. And I'm truly blessed to really have both of you all in my life in accepting me as I'm an outsider. I'm a guy with headphones on and a mic in front of me, and an accountant by trade, and the gift of gab. But you guys, in everyone who's out there watching, I'm here with two really legends in this industry, and what they've done is just absolutely totally remarkable. Worked with some of the best people in the history of country music, and so fellas, I appreciate it too. And so here's a group hug from me, to you guys. Yeah.
Hey, Keith, you know what, Troy? And we talked about this all the time. It starts and stops and ends on that stage. When we'd go out and we stepped on that stage with Diffie, or we've done, Keith and I had a chance to work. We've worked together on his own shows, and every time we took the stage, it was like, let's light this thing on fire. Because Keith, that's where, with this business, that's the bottom line at this point right now, with the 360 deals and everything else. Would you not agree that you've got to go in there and you got to capture them, you got to kill them?
I think that's absolutely spot on. I think you've got to be at large and in charge. Nobody is going to remember 80% I would even say, I would even go bigger, 85, maybe even 90% of artists throughout history of country music, rock music, pop music, they're going to remember your Johnny Cashes. They're going to remember your Elvis Presleys. They're going to remember your Waylons, your Willies. You know why? Because they stand out. They're different. They come in there and they're large and they're in charge, and they make no apologies for what they do with their music. It is what it is. If you don't like it, okay, don't listen. If you do like it, then jump on board and come along on this ride that we're fixing to take you on. And that's the way it's got to be, you know. And that's where I think, you know, guys, going back to like, and I know all of us, all three of us are huge Bob Seger fans. Go back to Bob Seger. Go back to
Yeah.
Bob Seger, 8 tracks. Go back to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, Against the Wind, when he was out there just rocking it, right?
Right.
He had something special. And you know who was one of his best friends on the planet? Kenny Rogers, who, guess what, had something special. You know, special people hang out with special people, and they make music with special people, and they understand that, you know what, this is not just, we're just in the moment, we're kicking ass and we're taking names, right? That's what they do. That's what special artists do. They don't follow a format. They don't go, okay, so and so's, you know, doing this now, so let's put a cowboy hat on and do this. They are what they are. So, you know, it that's really what it boils down to me. It's authenticity. Looking at some, and you know, and Troy, you know this, right? Certain people are more, you think about it, Troy. You look at certain artists and you go, boy, you believe in, he's authentic, right?
Yeah.
You authenticity. Maybe somebody else doesn't. So um
Yeah.
but man, to believe in yourself and to believe in what you're putting out there and the songs that you're putting out there, that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
You know. So who knows? Who knows in 40 years if Jelly Roll's going to be this huge thing that people look back on and go, he was the second coming of Johnny Cash or something. Who knows? I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know that, but all I know is what I like and what I appreciate, and what I do, and that is just put the most authenticity to my work that I can do. And if you like it, thank you. God bless you. I love you. And if you don't like it, thank you. God bless you. And I still love you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Keith, do you think you know, the artists that you have mentioned as an example, and you know, the larger than life on the stage, um is it totally, is do they develop confidence in themselves to be authentic and be larger than life? Have you ever seen any of them that have learned it, you know, just how to, you know, really just perform? Or do you think you either have it or you don't?
I think everything is, you know, to answer your question, both. Okay,
Yeah.
both. I don't think you have to be born with this gift to be Elvis Presley. Now, honestly, obviously, you have to be born to be Elvis Presley. All right, let's not go crazy. But I have seen people. I have seen people, and Mark was right there on the battle lines with me. He was right there with me on the bus, on the tour bus, early on in Joe Diffie's career, when we watched Joe go from a regular Joe who was a bluegrass singer and by far, you know, let's face it, uh, one of the greatest country singers to ever walk the planet. But we watched him from an early on performer we watched him gain his wings as he went, and gain confidence and gain it throughout. And I'll have to say this, I'll have to give a pat on the back to the band, which is, by the way, is my second favorite band I've ever had, is Heartbreak Highway with Mark and Lee Bogan and Joe Diffie. That were my second favorite band. My number one was obviously Trick Pony, because blood, sweat, and tears through them, because we had a record deal. But yeah, man, we watched it firsthand. So you've got those artists like obviously Elvis Presley, who's got the charisma, Tom Jones, you know what I'm talking about. Those people that just, they have it. And there's not Justin Timberlake I mean, I'll just throw that out there, has it. And then you got people like Joe Diffie and Chris Stapleton and artists like that are so good and so brilliant and so talented, but they have to work at the it factor a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not saying they didn't have it. Joe had, and Mark will agree with me here. Step in, Mark. Joe had charisma in spades. He was great, but he didn't have that live show, step on stage. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to spew the front 7 rows with testosterone. Right. And with me, the way I walked on stage and the way I always looked at it was, I was going to walk on stage and spew the room with the whole front 7 rows with testosterone during the first song. And so,
whether you were with Diffie or whether we were Trick Pony, you did it either way, man.
I had to step back a little bit with Diffie. I couldn't. But
oh my God, we had fun, Keith. Was that not?
We had so much fun. And Joe, bless his heart in heaven, God bless him. Joe was so gracious with me, and he put up with me. And one of the best things about Joe Diffie that a lot of people don't know, but Mark knows this, is Joe and I played golf every day. So we became really, really, really good friends. And I sang at his, what, 4th wedding, Mark? Was it his 4th or 5th?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to that one.
Lost track.
It's the ultimate tribute to Joe Diffie for me is to tell everybody live at my show every night that, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote one of Joe's first singles with Mark Oliverius, and I had the pleasure of writing his last single that he had out, and then I'll end up this Joe Diffie segment here with this truly remarkable statement about Joe. I wrote a song with my buddy Galen Griffin, As Long as There's a Bar. And it was Joe's very last single he had out before he passed away. And Joe called me about a month and a half before he passed away. And he said, Keith, I just want to say thank you for the song. Man, thank you for letting me have it. And I said, dude, are you crazy? You're to have a song, to have you sing any song that I've written or had any part of. And he goes, I just wish, and this was right. This is what breaks my heart with Joe. He said, I just wish I was back in my heyday where I could make you money. And for this caliber of song that you gave me. And, and that, when people, that's that, we were talking about Greg Hensley earlier. Joe Diffie was that kind of man. He was that guy. Hey, they even made a Joe Diffie boot.
Oh, that's cool.
Dan Post even made a Joe Diffie honky tonk attitude boot.
Keith, remember those? Didn't Greg get us all those Mo Better shirts?
Yeah.
And there was like 5 of them, 4 of them that looked the same. They're the same Garth Brooks looking, they were pretty shirts. They were, for the time, they were like the hot cowboy, shirt, right?
Yeah,
Remember when 3 or 4 of us put the same shirt on and came in like we were going on stage with this stuff? Oh my God, it was funny. Anyway, that was
the Mo Better stage. That was the old Garth stage. But man, we're getting into some such great stuff because you're talking about stuff that, and like with the Joe Diffie, I wouldn't even think to compare a Joe Diffie to a Chris Stapleton. But now that we're talking about it, they were a lot alike. Yeah. They're because Joe really wasn't the guy that went on stage and went, "Hey, I'm going to impress every woman up here. I want to, I want to be like Tom Jones and Elvis and have women throwing their panties on stage." Joe Diffie was one to go up there and sing, and his talent was second to none, and his band. Our band was second to none, and Chris Stapleton reminds me of that a lot. He just goes up there and just he's and so it feels good to see somebody like him, like a Chris Stapleton, getting the accolades that he's getting, because I think Joe, in my opinion, I don't think Joe got the accolades he deserved.
Right. He just let his voice do the work. He'd go on stage and let his voice do the work. And as opposed to, I mean, he was a good showman and he was a good entertainer, good, solid, but he let that huge voice with that 4-octave range or whatever he had do the bulk of the work. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, Ollie, I agree with you. Listen, man, I'm not saying he wasn't a great entertainer. I'm just saying he learned that craft as he went along.
Right.
That's what I was telling Troy is you can learn it, Troy. You can do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you can get better at that craft as you go. And all you got to do is just, it's no different than a golfer, hitting up 1,000 golf balls a day to get better. Repetition creates greatness.
Yeah.
And you just keep playing, keep doing shows, keep doing your thing, come up with lines during the show. And the more comfortable you get, the better you're going to get. It's just that simple.
And don't be worried about falling off the limb. You got to go as far out on that limb as you can, right? You can't be worried about making errors or you got to be fearless when you're entertaining, correct?
Or off the stage. Don't worry about falling off the stage either. I've done that. I've done that a couple of times.
Oh man.
Hey fellas, it's pretty neat. I think it was CMA Fest and in the televised portion that they did. There was a tribute to Joe Diffie, and it seems like today's all the guys that are on the radio today really do appreciate Joe and the 90s, and that's pretty neat. You guys have seen that. What do you think is the appeal? Is it honoring, the people that they grew up with, the talent? Where do you guys see that?
Ollie, for me, I tell you what, I think it is nobody can sing like him. So that I think it is. They listened back to these songs, Third Rock from the Sun and Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox and this and that. And there was an era when these mullets, and we all had mullets. We all went through it. We all know it. And there was those 90s. And music was solid. And it was great. And the best songwriters in the world were there.
Yeah.
And I think what they're hearing and they're hearing a voice that they can't duplicate. They can't emulate it. They can't do it. So they're going, wow. Try and sing Prop Me Up Beside the Juke. I tell you what, guys, trying to all the people listening out there, to all the people, because I'm sure I'm going to rebroadcast this on my network. Try and re-sing Ships That Don't Come In. They just tried it. They suck. They ain't even close. Nobody can sing Ships That Don't Come In like Joe Diffie. Yeah. They're selling. There's millions of streams going on because it's Jason Aldean and Luke Combs or whoever singing with Joe Diffie. Guess what? There's only one Joe Diffie. And that's what I think. That's my opinion. I think why Joe Diffie is so revered now is because he's just way better than people remembered him. And
Yeah.
they're listening to him and they're going, holy crap, this guy. Wow. Listen to this. Listen to Jay, you try and sing Third Rock from the Sun. Just try it. And you can't sing like the depth of Joe Diffie. Nobody can. I mean, there's very few people. You got your Haggard, your Joneses, your Keith Whitley, Vince Gill, Joe Diffie. Yeah, I mean, there's literally like maybe 10 singers in our lifetime that are
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah.
Keith, you remember the story about, I remember Joe talking about getting a call from Disney. They had like all these hotshot session singers in Nashville come by trying to sing this track for Disney. And guys were coming out of the control. Guys were like stumbling out of the studio. These singers, not stumbling, but they were exhausted and they couldn't. And when they saw Joe was sitting there ready to go in, they said, well, and Joe got the part. Joe got he nailed it, because of his control and soul and everything else,
Yeah.
Pitch.
Now I'm seeing you, Ollie.
I know.
Yeah, I'm switching things around here, Keith. So yeah, just yeah. There's a wizard behind the screen, and it's it's the
What
guy
about
up
that
buried in
voice?
snow.
Hey, what about Troy's voice, Keith? Is that not a radio ready big voice that Troy's got?
No, I think Troy. Hey, listen, I think Troy's got a tremendous amount of talent ready to go. I think I've got a song that I wrote with Mike Whalen called "Just Getting Started," and I think Troy. I think honestly, there's a lot of people at our age, and I think Troy's younger than us, Ollie. I don't
He
know.
is.
But I think there's a lot of people at a certain point that they're just getting started in what they really, really want to do in their life. And this song, and man, yeah, absolutely. I think Troy's just getting started at what he really probably wants to do. And I'm not saying Troy by no stretch. Am I saying you don't appreciate and enjoy doing what you've been doing or whatever business you built? I'm just saying that I think you've got a solid chance at this business of entertainment, and you're just getting started, man.
Let's get him in the studio, brother. Let's get him in the studio. I've been talking to him about that. One
Keith,
song.
y'all. So Mia just posted again. She's watching here, and she said, "Oh boy, Keith, have you heard my dad sing? Love you though, Dad. Laugh out loud." So,
uh-oh. So I may be singing a duo with someone else in the family.
yeah, probably. So, my brother always. You guys are way too kind, but my brother always said, "Hey, brother, you got a face for radio." So,
That's not true.
So
he's jealous.
Right. That's what I told him. Yeah. Hey, Keith. You, Mark, working with Joe, and at the height of his career, but then like, what was it, 2000, 2001? Something happened then in your career, and you founded a band named Trick Pony.
Right.
Why don't you walk us through just a little bit, like what that transition was like? Because here you are, things are going. Joe's, like I said, at the height of his career. You kind of put yourself out on a limb then, didn't you?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Mark knows this. All the band knew it, and half of them told me I was nuts. And all my friends in Nashville, I had moved my whole family up there, my kids, my wife, everything, and they told me I was nuts. Man, are you nuts? You're making a pretty doggone good living. You're playing 75 minutes a night. They hand you're playing golf with the boss every day. You walk on stage, they hand you your bass. You walk off stage, you hand them your bass, and then you just go party until you get back home. And what are you giving? What are you giving this up for? You're on a 45-foot, you know, tour bus, and you're going to go back to a van and a trailer, and but it was a no brainer for me. I never moved to Nashville ever to be a bass player for another artist. And as much as I love Joe and love the time and love what he taught me and love the moments and the memories that we have, like I said, did I mention I sang at his fifth wedding? But as much as I loved all that, Joe knew what. Listen, they knew everybody in that band. And Ollie knows this. Mark can attest to this. Everybody in that band knew I was not there for a side guy. They knew that. Everybody in the band knew that it was my band to start with. I brought the band to the table, and then it kind of morphed into something of Joe's band, but kept the name of my band. That's exactly what happened. Everybody knew that I had different aspirations and dreams. And so did Joe. And Joe was fine with that. Joe and I were, like I said, what do you think we talked about on the golf course? We talked about all that kind of stuff. Joe was always so behind me and just so like, hey dude, anytime you want to make a move and do this, I'm behind you. He even paid to have me some songs done early on. It didn't work out, but that's okay. Joe was one of my biggest cheerleaders, and the band knew it. So but to answer your question, it was tough. It was tough to leave that environment because I could have stayed there. I really could. I mean, there's people that make full careers for 30 years. Look at the guys with Brooks and Dunn and with Vince Gill and all that. But, but it just wasn't what my dream was. My dream was to have my own thing, write my own songs, and get out there and be what I could be, the best I could possibly be. And it worked out. It worked out good.
Yeah,
But
that's
it was tough. It was tough going. Mark knows it was tough going from that 45-footer to a van and a trailer, man.
Well, if anyone could do it, you could do it, and you did it. I mean, so yeah, Troy, he brought the band. He had Heartbreak Highway in Atlanta. Keith was slugging it out down in the clubs in Atlanta, brought the band, auditioned in Nashville to try to get a record deal with that band for Keith, and then ends up getting swallowed up by Diffie's management company, which was turned into a huge company. I mean, Keith, we were there when McGraw broke, and he was on tour with us. We were playing ball with him and hanging out, riding his bus and after shows. And I mean, but your force of will again after Joe was.
McGraw. You remember, Mark? You remember when McGraw was like the wildest son of a gun on the planet?
When was that? Does it ever change? No.
Before
Tim
he married Faith and quit drinking. Boy, that son of a gun, boy, we had some times. He got me in a couple of fist fights, man.
Oh boy.
Nuts.
Out in the parking lot with his cowboy hat. We were at sound check. He's, and he had his cowboy hat, and he said he used to bet guys in the bars in Louisiana down there in the parking lot. He'd make money in the parking lot. He'd bet them whatever that he would do a full flip, a back flip or a front flip. Would not lose his hat. I don't know, but man, what an athlete, huh? Seriously.
Crazy. The guy, me and him, all I remember is because we played a lot of basketball, you and I, with him back in the day. And I remembered how good he was, man. That guy could sky. He was
springs, man. He had springs, didn't he?
He's a heck of an athlete and a heck of a nice guy, man. Just but yeah, man, it was I got a chicken over here.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Was it Bonnie?
This is my one piece here.
Oh,
could
Lord.
Tim McGraw do the cornhole on your handstand, like you would handstand all the way across to do the cornhole?
I don't know. I don't know
I
that.
don't think he could have done it.
I don't know that.
Explain this a little more.
Yeah,
there,
we
Vaughn.
need to hear a lot more now.
I'll Mark, I will send you. I'll
We've
find
got
you.
video.
I got
and
video.
Jameson.
Yeah. I had a guy that was playing Mr. Tough Guy out by the pool at our penthouse in Nashville. And he was playing Mr. Tough Guy, and I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. On cornhole. We were playing cornhole. How can you be a tough guy playing cornhole? It doesn't make no sense. I'm like, dude. And I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. This is gravel, right? We're on gravel. I said, I will walk on my hands across this gravel, this whole 10 yards. Yeah. Yeah. On a 104-degree day, I will walk on my hands in this gravel and all the way across this cornhole pit. Yeah. Yeah. I'll walk on my hands. And he goes, there's no way. And I did it. And we got it on tape somewhere. I'll send it to you. You got to see it.
Yeah, dude, you're a great athlete. I mean, we used to.
I think we're.
Yeah. No, you're still in great shape, obviously. What are you, size 28? No.
No, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, I'll tell you what. I told Sean Hammonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sean, my buddy, he's a Pan Am. He's back at fighting again at 50 something years old. And I told him yesterday, I had a phone call. I said, dude, I do not lift anything over 45 pounds anymore. I just lift it more. It's like, and he's like, smart move. And you know how it is, guys. I mean, you get older and you just, but I will say this, to stay in shape is a huge thing in the music business. I mean, to feel good about what you do and to be able to eat right. You know what? The best thing I was told by Johnny Cash, I said, Johnny, because he came in and he did our first album that we did. Ira Dean had lived with Johnny, and Johnny didn't even know Ira lived with him. Wow. Johnny's son, John Carter, said, listen, dude, just come here and go in the back of the house and stay there and don't come out. When my dad's in the house, just stay back there in the room and don't show your face. Well, finally one day, Ira just was hungry and showed up at breakfast. And Johnny Cash said, well, who, pray tell, are you? And he goes, well, I'm just back there spending the night. And he goes, okay, well, enjoy your breakfast and God bless you. And so Ira ended up living with them. And he asked Johnny Cash, he said, if I ever get a record deal, will you sing on a record? And Johnny Cash said, yeah, I'll do that. So when we got our record deal, that's exactly what he called Johnny Cash up and said, we want to do Big River. Would you sing on it? And Johnny Cash said, I told you I would, and I'll do it. And Ira told Johnny Cash, he said, there's only one stipulation. Heidi and Keith want Waylon to sing on it with you. And at the time, this is what's so crazy. At the time, they weren't talking. They had the Highwayman tour. And Johnny and Waylon had a little falling out over June Carter being vocal out there on the tour, and Waylon, I guess, didn't feel like she needed to have as much say as she thought she needed to have. And so him and Johnny had a little falling out. And so he said, well, Johnny and I aren't talking. I mean, Waylon and I aren't talking. And so Ira said, well, yeah, but that's the way we got to do it. And he goes, well, I tell you what, I'll do it, and I'll do it with Waylon. Mm-hmm. And they hadn't spoken for several years. And that's what got them back together. And before they both passed away, they came in and they sang on Big River with us, and it was what an honor and what a pleasure.
Yeah.
Something like that right there, and and Johnny Cash is, that guy's like Muhammad Ali, and
Right.
as is Waylon. Waylon's
Mhm.
like Elvis, of country. Yeah, I mean, there's just they don't make them like that right now. You
Yeah.
know, I watched something. Hey guys, real quick, and I don't know how long y'all want to go. I mean, I could talk to y'all all night, but I was watching a thing today. As a matter of fact, I had a few minutes, and so when I have a few minutes to myself, I'll just kind of slide off and I'll pop YouTube on, and I'll pop on like old country things, like old country, stuff. And Glenn Campbell was on this show with Bobby Bear and Willie Nelson. There's all these old timers, and they're all watching Glenn Campbell, and they're all singing a song here and there. Janie Fricky, and Glenn Campbell did "Gentle on My Mind," and
Yeah.
he played that guitar solo, and they flashed over to Willie and Gene Watson and all of them, and Roy Clark, and they all just had this. They all lit up like a Christmas tree, man. They're all like just going, "Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
why. This is how good we." So I just won't let. I will just say this about country music today. I hope that country music at some point can get back to the level of talent that it was when we were at that stage.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
every single person in the room looked at the other person and went, "Lord, have mercy, I wish I could play like that. God,
Yeah.
I wish I could sing like that. God, I wish I could write like that. Good Lord, I wish I knew the charts like that." That's what I want country music back to at a certain point,
Mhm.
because that's what country music deserves. We've always been the best in the world. And Nashville's the best players, the best songwriters, the best singers, the best entertainers. And, I just hate to see it go downhill because of, because, oh, well, let's let this person in because they're different, or this and that. I don't want to sound like the guy. Listen, guys, I don't want to sound like the old man saying, "Get off my lawn." I'm just saying, all you got to do is just go listen to Glenn Campbell play "Gentle on My Mind," and go, okay, nobody's that good right now. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keith, it's a tribute to really who you are as a person. And I've seen, in the time that we've known each other, and in how you are professionally, you take pride really in helping young artists, and in mentoring, in that, I think is very unique, and I truly appreciate that. Is that something that's conscious for you? Is it is it something where you're at the point in your life right now where you're like, hey, there's talent out here, I want to help.
Absolutely. Are you crazy? That's where we're. Listen, we can't do it forever. We can't. None of us
Mhm.
live forever. It's all about passing on what knowledge you have
Mhm.
and what knowledge I have. And if I can help, boy, that's what it's all about. I know,
Mhm.
listen, I've had my day, and I'll have more days. But you know what? Somebody else coming up, they've got more days.
Yeah.
It means the world to me. The world, because I know how. Listen, like I said, like I just told you that story with him playing "Gentle on My Mind," and Janie
Mhm.
Fricky watching. I remember Janie Fricky as a young woman, and singing and listening to her, and seeing her 25 years later. Okay,
Yeah.
and looked at her and said, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life and seen in my life. And God, boy, I'd marry you right now. And for her to look at me the way she did when I told her that, because it meant the world to her.
Yeah.
And it means the world to me. And like I said, listen, for folks like me, I just want to go, look, here's your capability. Here's what you got. You are so gifted. You're so this area. What here's, and I don't want to tell them what to do. You know how that goes. I mean, we can't,
Mhm.
us, we are like the old men on the, get off my lawn. If we're start telling people, you just can't do it. But at the same time, if you can guide people
Yeah.
and
Right.
try to just explain to them, hey, look, there's going to be a lot of people in your ear telling you this and telling you that, and they're going to be trying to guide you this way or push you this way. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be. Willie Nelson told me, I asked him, I had Willie, I had Waylon, I had Johnny, I had Chris Christopherson. I asked them all the same thing. What advice do you give me? And Willie was the one that gave me. Johnny Cash said, show up like looking like the 8x10 and sounding like the record, which is probably the best advice ever. Because if you encompass that, if you show up at the gig and you look like the poster and you sound like the record, you're probably doing all the right things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, you're eating right, you're doing right. Willie just said one thing. He looked at me and goes, just do what you do. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, but the way he said it, he meant that shit. I mean, he meant it. I mean, dude, just do what you do. And he meant it. It was like you got the feeling that when Willie told me that, I got the feeling that when he told me that, he could have cared less if he ever made it or didn't make it.
Yeah.
He could have cared less. Just do what you do. And if it's meant, I guess, the way I took it, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
And having a shitload of talent helps too, right?
Well, sometimes more talent does work. Sometimes more management works. Sometimes more money works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to the top.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm certainly not going to sit here and BS you guys on what has to happen. There's some of the most talented people on the planet that have never seen the light of day, and y'all know that.
Yeah.
Even in Wisconsin, your tiny town of Wisconsin where you're at right now, I guarantee you, in your county, you've known a couple of singers that you went, man, you're way better than everybody out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What town in
It's
Wisconsin?
Yeah. We're in a we're in a town called Wausau. Population, I think it is 39,995. They couldn't come up with 5 more people somewhere to make it 40,000.
I'll be up there next week. How's that? No.
They can't come up with 5 more people.
for
That is
40,000 even. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how
yeah.
if they missed a couple of people there, but Keith, you're exactly right. And there are many different ways, but one thing I've always admired about you is the work ethic. How much time, how much time do you put into your craft? It's a long work week, isn't it?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up. You know what? It's what I like to tell people, and I'll tell everybody out there listening, and this is the honest to God truth. It's a blessing and it's a curse. When you have the passion for your music that you have, there are nights I'll stay up 4 or 5 in the morning working on one line, one one verse of a song. Bonnie sees it. I'm moving all over the place. Why don't you, God, go to sleep? And she knows it. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. It's nonstop. It's
Mhm.
nonstop. But it's the reward is worth everything that it pays.
Yeah.
Every single thing it pays off, it's worth it.
Yeah. That's
And so it's listen, it's no different than what you've done up to this point in your life. And it's no different than what somebody that like a Elon Musk has done. They work. It's what they do. It's what they do. Their passion is what they have in their heart and what they do, and that's what they do. uh you know what I don't have any empathy for? I have no sympathy. I have zero sympathy for laziness, and I have zero sympathy for people that are jealous, or people that look at other things, and they are upset at someone else's, you know uh, someone else has some, let's just say, a victory, success, right? You get some success, say you get a record deal. People that have that you know what, to me, jealousy is just all it is a form of self-pity. It's a
Mhm.
huge form of self-pity because you didn't achieve something that somebody else worked hard for, instead of graduating and going, man, congratulations to that person for working hard or doing it. You feel sorry for yourself, so you got to lash out at it. That's the one thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
probably my pet peeve. It used to be people driving slow in the left lane, but I've gotten to deal with people driving slow in the left lane. I'm okay. I'm better with that than I am with people being jealous.
That's a
Oh,
good
Keith.
place to be, Keith.
In the
Yeah.
what in the left lane
No,
slow?
no, no. We're second choice. Your newest
Oh, okay.
choice. Yeah.
I've been. Hey, we've all been in the. Have we all not been in the left lane with
Yeah, we
somebody
get
2 miles an hour, and we're going, wait a minute.
life in the left lane. Yeah, right.
There we go.
Hey, guys, us three, Nashville, Tennessee, we're right and left, life in the left lane.
Life in the
Okay.
left lane.
Sounds
That's
good.
that's too cool.
Guys, that is it. We think about it, especially now since Trump won. Man, we're life in the left lane. Don't you want to lose your mind? Life
You're gonna have a chorus by
lane
tomorrow. I know it.
sucks to be you. It sucks to be you.
Bonnie, prepare for a long night.
We got a chick in here, man. I really wish.
Of
Hey,
course
listen,
you do.
guys, listen. We got to do this when we can set this up. Ollie, if I got to come back up, I think I'm maybe probably going to come up there here in the next week with Greg, our buddy
Yeah.
Greg Passon.
Ollie's met Rhodey before.
Yeah,
he was in the studio with me.
yes, Ollie.
Oh, that's
Rhodey?
the same chicken.
Yes,
he's here.
yes, Troy.
He's ready.
That's too fun. Somebody asked me today because they've seen the video, and I told them we were going to do the show, and the first thing they asked, does he still have the chicken?
Yeah, right here. The damn chicken's right here. Look at
Absolutely.
get
Make
this.
sure he goes
There-
potty. Make sure he
there-
goes potty.
There's that one shot in the video, Keith, too, and we captured it, is when you were talking to your chicken, and it was on your shoulder, and it looked right at you, like you two were talking to each other. That's too fun, y'all. If you watch this, go see the video. It's on YouTube. Back to My Boots. It's Back to My Boots with Keith and Mia Brown, and it's really fun video. We had a great time shooting it that day.
Amazing.
That was just a precious day.
amazing video and just a ton of fun. Yeah, and the chicken stole. I
He
hate
was
it.
like, he was telling you how to produce it.
Yeah,
Brody told
yeah.
you what to do.
Little bastard stole the show.
Yeah.
Hey, look at you should see him. He's eyeballing me.
Of course he is.
I
He's
still-
in character.
yeah,
Oh, he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Troy, you're going to be down in Nashville anytime soon, or
Yeah, I am going to be in Nashville, Keith, the week of January 27th. That's the only one that I have planned for sure. But
how
yeah,
many days? I'll make sure that we are there.
I am going to be there the whole week. And so yeah, let's figure it out how we can get together. So we do have one important thing to talk about, Keith. Georgia Bulldogs, right?
Ah, boy, are you kidding? The dogs. Who have you got in the race?
I do not have a team in the race, and
Really?
yeah, I do not. And I'm a Wisconsin guy, and I've taken a lot of flack for this, but I'm an Alabama fan, and we
Isn't.
we
You
had a tough go of it this year.
better, boy. Yeah, Alabama's a little upset they didn't get in it, but you know what? Here's the thing. I heard some people from Ohio State complaining and Tennessee complaining. They're and I go, look, you're 8th and 9th. All right. If it went back to the way it's supposed to be, right? You wouldn't even be in it.
Right.
You'd be in the thing. You'd be 8th and 9th. You'd be playing in the Alamo Bowl out in San Antonio, Texas. Not that San Antonio, Texas isn't a great town. It is. Ollie and I have been there. And partied in San Antonio. In fact, Mark doesn't remember this, but Mark and I got we really had a good time in San Antonio, Texas.
I do remember you backed down that big old cowboy. You
Yes,
thought,
I did. Yes, I did.
he was 6'3".
Yeah.
Keith
Well-
goes toe to toe. He was wanting to, I don't know what he was wanting to do. I think you were talking to a girl that he liked or something. I don't know. We were leaving. We were leaving the club.
I just wanted out of there. And the
Yeah.
guy comes down on me. But I will say this, he gets bigger every year. I think he's about 5'10".
Yeah.
Now he's 6'3". So
6'3". Oh, he's 6'8". He was just anyway. Hey, I'm rooting for Crystal Falls Forest Park. Okay, sorry.
no.
Hey,
That's my high
Crystal
school.
Falls Forest Park state champions this year in the state
High
of
school,
Michigan.
Keith.
You're kidding me.
No,
They were
and
champions?
Mark is very, very humble. But was that the first championship, Mark, that Crystal Falls had that year that you won it when you played?
Yeah, my junior and senior year, but the
Yeah.
junior was the first
right.
year that the state
Repeated.
of Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, man, because Mark was such a high school. Not many people, because from the South, and this, the South, we're football, high school football, and high school basketball, and high school baseball.
Yeah.
It's the king. We don't even know hockey. I mean, shit. People used to talk to me about. I'd go up north and like our old buddy. By the way, can I real quick give a shout out? And it ain't a shout out. It's another sad condolence to Joe Christensen, who was our sound man for Joe Diffie. Recently just lost his wife like unexpectedly last week.
Yeah.
I just want to say to Joe and his family and everyone here at this time of year, just we're our hearts here from Troy and Mark and I, our hearts are with you 100%. And we just whatever we can do. God, it's so tough when things like this happen, and it was unexpected. So I don't even know details.
Yeah.
I just know that our old sound man lost his wife, and I just want to offer my condolences through this show. And so there you go.
Amen to that, Keith.
Amen, brother.
And guys, man, what a great conversation! I can't wait to get on stage. Can we do this next week, Ollie? Can I come
Is
up?
it Christmas? Next week's Christmas. I think we're taking it off, right, Troy? Or are we? Or what's
We
the
are,
plan?
Keith. We can do
We could
anything.
do it.
We're flexible, and whatever works out for you. Let's get together again, because I know everyone out there would really. We haven't even gotten to the background story of who
Right.
Keith Burns is, so let's do it again. And if next week works, we'll do it next week. If
Yeah.
not, um, Keith, we do have one. Mark and I were talking about scheduling. I think Monday is December 30th or something like that. So,
Okay.
let's just stay in touch, and let's do it again. Like I said, everyone wants to hear the background of Keith Burns, and Keith, it's so great to talk to you again, and see like this fake person that's up on the screen here, but I do know what you look like, so it's all good.
I know.
Um,
I just hate that because, but what I'd love to do is get together in person with all of
that would
us,
be great.
sit
Yeah.
down and talk in person, because I think that would mean, and I'll make that happen. If you, whenever you come to Nashville, you let me know, and we'll meet down in the old bottom, the bottom of Ollie and Candy's place. That they got the ultimate place down there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's my hotel room there.
That's
It's
right.
a great spot.
Oh, yours
Yeah,
too. Well,
yeah,
Here's-
yeah. Right.
Ollie, where
yes.
staying if they're staying there?
We'll figure it out.
Well, all
Maybe,
right, my
guys.
brothers. Yeah, this has been great, Keith. And hang on after we end the stream here too. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We've had great comments coming along here. We've got Lisa. It's always great to see you. Thanks for joining in, and of course Mia. Love you, my dear, and Sarah, and this has been a lot of fun pooling. If you're still on. Y'all tune in again. We'll let you know when Keith's going to be on again, and get us just a true gentleman in this. In not, I'm not even talking about the industry. I'm just talking about a gentleman, and I appreciate you, my brother.
Well, no, listen, the pleasure's all mine, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that we're in a situation where Ollie and I can play some songs, and talk about some songs, and talk about the business, and talk about what and not just because we only just touched on it. We
Yeah,
just touched on what you do, and what and the way you do it, and it's become so different now in the music business that it used to be. Okay, so
yeah,
to be able to touch on that, and to play some songs, play some music, and let people understand what real talent is, and what, and I'm not that, for by no means am I saying real talent is me sitting there, but to watch Ollie and myself play a couple of songs here and there that we've written, and maybe even have Mia join us, uh, for people to understand that live music and the live feel, and that's what it's all about. It's all about touching people. And here at Christmas time, here during the holidays, I think that's why I honestly believe that's why Christmas music works so well.
Yeah.
It touches people. It goes to the heart. It goes to the heart. Mark, one of the best things that I ever cut Christmas wise was one you cut, and it's just you and I sitting down, and you turned it into this uh Gordon Lightfoot kind of Celtic feel Christmas song, and I cut Little Drummer Boy, and I had no idea where we were going with it, and that's where he went with it, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's just beautiful, and so uh, let's do it. Let's do it again. I deeply apologize for not being able to get the video part of this.
Hey, I've been videoing you.
Okay.
We're gonna send it.
Bonnie in the house. That's good. Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that, but we're gonna
That's all right.
I just want to tell everybody out there listening and to all my people that I'm gonna repost this to. We're gonna redo this and we will do it as soon as we can. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Uh, Special prayer for Greg Hensley. Um, and Mark, I love you. I always have, I always will. And Troy, can't wait to work with you more in the future. I look forward to it. I think you're
Me too.
I think like my song that I wrote with Mike Whalen, I think you're just getting started in this business and I think you're gonna be good.
You're the best, my brother. I appreciate that. You're too
I
kind.
appreciate y'all.
Awesome. Love you
I love
guys.
you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Keith. Merry Christmas. Love you, my brother, and can't wait until we get together again. So, y'all, we're going to sign off. And Keith, why don't you just hang on for just a second? And Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.